We really wanted to let you know, and you probably already have noticed, that HMH has embedded the notice and note strategies into our textbooks. So, and we have this HMH textbook 7 through 12. So everybody has this. And so we want to show you what that looks like and talk to you a little bit about some things you might want to consider when you look at it. So for instance, this is the digital version of one of the passages, and I just pulled the screen where they have the kids stop and notice numbers and stats. So this is an informational text. And there is a call out box where when you assign this passage to them, they start typing and they click in there and they've got a little text editor and they can type like, what image of the effects of this event do these numbers create? So then that's what it looks like when you're online if you want them to notice that. When you're reading the textbook, same story. It's the marginalia, and it's numbers and stats over in the side, and it's in the teacher edition and the student edition. And so you can tell the kids to like, hey, every time you see that, I want you to do it on a sheet of paper or whatever, should you actually have access to printed textbooks. But one of the big things that we noticed too is that they only call out 1 or 2 signposts in every one, but you can almost always find at least one more signpost. So if you really want to work them and have them look at the signpost or discuss the signpost or let the signpost drive your discussion, just make sure that you ask them like, hey, it's going to call out numbers and stats, but maybe you need to look for a couple others. Come back and tell me what you find, right? So that's really the way the textbook works. And I don't think there's anything more to say about that. Do you guys?
No, I think sometimes it can be overwhelming. New textbooks, new passages, new components in the margins. And so sometimes we're just like, well, how are we supposed to even use this? And I think the great part about this is there's no secret to these notice and note pieces. It's not meant to be complicated. It's not meant to be this big learning curve. Really, the only thing that has to happen is at some point you've got to teach the kids the signposts. But I mean, that stuff in the margins shows up in the kids' books too. Like it's not just in the teaching edition. So, I mean, once you've gone over kind of the signposts with them, and I mean, you probably don't do all 6 of them at once. We probably do a couple at a time, but once you've introduced those, it really is easy to integrate that in to the process while we're reading.
And honestly, like whether you've read the book or not, knowing the signpost and knowing the anchor question can really drive your discussion. So if the kids just know the signpost and you're able to find it in a text and model that for them, and then let them go find it in a text on their own and just go signpost by signpost in each genre and then turn them loose to do it on their own and tell them, you know, you could tell them ahead of time. Some scaffolds might be, this one has these signposts in it, or just do the ones that the textbook has the first time. And then eventually you don't have to tell them about the signposts at all. And then eventually, hopefully, they just become such good readers that they naturally notice those things and they don't stop and notice and note them at all because it just happens automatically, like we as good readers probably already experienced. Right?
Yep.
Anything else we need to say about the textbook or about the notice and note before we let them all go? All right. Make sure by the time you finish this course that you have clicked the attendance link and filled that out. And thanks for coming and experiencing Notice and Note. Jennifer, anything else we need to do as far as housekeeping? All right. Thank you all.